Angela Merkel is basically now Hitler. She is recreating the Nazi Party in Germany. Of course, this is under the banner of anti-racism. She says freedom of expression has its limits. It must be regulated to keep society free. That's not how freedom of expression works, love. This is basic shit. Either she is inherently evil. There's not actually that many inherently evil people. Maybe Hitler was. And she is quite similar to Hitler. She is now leading the new Nazi party in Germany. This road leads to Nazi 2.0. Because once you start minimizing speech, and if you're doing basic shit like just lying about there being a fire in a crowded theatre or whatever, it's probably fine that that's curtailed in some way. But, for example, I think the Holocaust happened, but I don't think Holocaust denial should be prohibited. I think you should win the argument you want to make. Because the problem is, as soon as you start limiting free speech, who decides where that line is drawn? Even people that think they're doing the right thing, people that think they're doing the moral thing. It's very easy for humans to just be wrong, or to be completely mistaken about what the right or the moral thing is. The only safeguard I'm aware of against this is free speech. Unfortunately, the US is the only country I know that has this codified in the constitution, in law. Europe doesn't have this. And Germany is attempting to enforce its draconian, backward, Nazi-like free speech policies on the whole of the EU. The UK and the Nordic countries stopped this in 2008. Once the UK leaves the EU, the Germans once again, the Nazis in Germany, Angela Merkel is a Nazi. Not literally, but this is a Nazi-esque policy. This is the second coming of the Nazis, just with a different name. Angela Merkel is a Nazi. The Nazi Party of Germany, led by Angela Merkel, not literally, metaphorically, but there's a lot of similarities. This Nazi Party will attempt to destroy free speech. And once you destroy free speech, you cannot really have a civilized country with no free speech. Hate speech laws are bullshit. Do I want to do a hate speech against people? No. Do I think hate speech is good? No, but you have to allow hate speech if you're going to have free speech, and you must have free speech. Incidentally, black people commit twice as much hate speech against white people as white people do against black people in the US. Just a fact I'm throwing out there. This is based on FBI data. But I digress. This is also based on Twitter data. If you look at Twitter or FBI government data, both show a lot more hate speech against whites by blacks than the other way around. But I digress. You cannot have a civilized, open society and start seriously curtailing people's speech. This leads to tyranny. Because, you say, okay, who decides where this line is? And that may seem like a trivial thing, but it's not. Well, you criticised a Muslim there. That's hate speech. You're going to jail, my friend. We're going to publicise this and take your job away. We're going to take away your ability to do banking. Even if the criticism was a genuine one, was real, was based on fact. If you define it as hate speech, you shut down the debate. And when there is a hegemonic power like the far left is in almost all Western countries now, the far left, as we know, is just a Nazi party with different targets. The far left Nazi party. Angela Merkel is the Adolf Hitler of our time. She is pushing Nazi-like ideas. Different groups, same principles. This is basic shit. This is why the US has a First Amendment. This is why every country in the world should have a First Amendment. There's a reason for it, you fucking moron. Free speech does not have its limits. Not beyond small practical matters like shouting fire in a crowded theatre, and maybe even that should be up for debate. And she's using great 1984 as a doublethink here. Freedom of expression has its limits. Those limits begin where hatred is spread. They begin where the dignity of other people is violated. No. Sorry. Fuck off. That's not how free speech works, dear. I guess you were away on that day of school, dear. Or maybe you learnt this in East Germany where you grew up. Is this what the Stasi taught you? No. There is no protection for free speech in terms of hate. People should be able to say hateful things. People should be able to violate other people's dignity. Apart from anything, that's so open to fucking interpretation. Oh, you criticising my political statement here. I feel like my dignity has been violated. Therefore, that's hate speech. Therefore, you go to prison. This is beyond 1984 level shit. This is people... The Deviant Developer Podcast. Tap subscribe in any podcast app to never miss an episode. Please leave a review on iTunes and like on YouTube. It's essential to spread the word. To contact me or make a welcome donation, go to thedeviantdeveloper.com. Your support is greatly appreciated.